So again, excited to be here and thank you. Feel free to use the chat box. Antoinette and I will be your co-host for this evening. Most of the time we'll try to get to the chat box as much as we can. IJ Stack is present tonight, so they will try to also help with the chat box. But know that Antoinette and I do go through the chat box in the following days after the meeting. So if there's any questions that were unanswered, we'll follow up with you to make sure that you have an answer to your question. But with that being said, thank you all so much for joining us tonight. Really, really excited again to be here with you all, and especially with the agenda that we have in store for you all tonight. We obviously have, coming from the success of Prop 17, we want to be able to encourage folks who are directly impacted to be able to participate in our democratic process. And so tonight we actually have a guest who will be giving us a presentation from the Los Angeles Recorder's Office later this evening. But before that, what we'll be doing is we'll be giving some updates as far as what we're doing at IJ with the various committees, and do a little breakout session just to get us in our brains activated and going before hearing from our guest speaker tonight. But with that being said, like I said, call is being recorded. If you could put yourself on mute, just so that way we can all hear each other. And again, say hi in the chat box and let us know where you're zooming in from. But without further ado, I'm gonna see if our healing committee leads are here. That way they can help get the meeting started. And I don't know if Rashida or Indigo, I see Indigo Mateo, you are in the room, blessing us with your spirit. Thank you, child. I will pass the mic off to you to give our members a good grounding session before we get started for tonight. Take it away, Indigo.
Yes, hello. How's everybody doing today? Sorry if there's a lag on my computer. It's a little slow with the internet, but what is up? So definitely wanted to take a moment to breathe together before we get into this work. And just again, the healing committee is here to say that we see you. So within this work of activism, policy, advocacy, making sure that incarceration becomes obsolete, really important that we take a moment to ground ourselves in our worthiness, in our ability. Sorry if my computer might be lagging. Can someone tell me if I'm lagging or not? Because I don't want to continue if you can't hear me.
You sound good.
You're good, Indigo.
You're Indigo.
Okay. Thanks, y'all. Thank you. So I'm just gonna ask you all to get into a comfortable position. And I'm gonna ask us to tap into some visualization here. So if you could all just, again, get into a comfortable position, either close your eyes or soften your gaze. I'm gonna ask you to take a deep breath in through your nose. Hold for 1 and exhale through your mouth completely. And I want everyone to just think about something that you really want for yourself. Breathing in through your nose. Maybe it's the freedom for a loved one. Out through your mouth. Maybe it's your own freedom. Again, releasing any tension in your face, taking a deep breath in through your nose. Visualizing yourself in that peaceful state, in that peaceful place. Maybe you're accomplishing something that you've wanted to accomplish for many years. Taking a deep breath in and out, allowing your shoulders to drop, allowing your eyes to just close, not be weighed down by anything. As you see yourself in this peaceful place, what do you look like? What's the expression on your face? Take a deep breath in and out. As you continue to visualize yourself in this place, what facial expression is on your face? What does the air feel like around you? Breathing in deep, holding and exhaling completely. We're taking this moment to tell ourselves that this reality is not unattainable, that this reality is very much within our grasp, that we are not only competent enough, but we are worthy enough, and that this image of ourselves succeeding is actually our inheritance, is our purpose and our place to dream big about what it is we want. So as we take this moment of acknowledgement of ourselves and our power, I ask you to take 3 more deep breaths in through your nose, and out, expelling anything that opposes love, that opposes dreaming big. Breathing in everything that you need to be present for this meeting, to be present in this movement. And out. And one last big breath together. Holding for 1. And allowing ourselves to fully exhale. Thank you all for taking a moment to acknowledge ourselves and our very humanity that the system so often denies us. I'm sorry if it lagged at all, but thank you for taking that moment to breathe with me. And just let me know how you're feeling in the chat, how you feel after taking a couple of breaths and doing some visualization. And I'll pass it back to you, Daisy.
Thank you, Indigo. Definitely no lag, and we are always super appreciative of you being able to help ground us. So we'll be hearing more from the Healing Committee as far as like what they've been doing later on tonight. But again, feel free to share in the chat if you wanted to give any feedback on what that was like for you. And again, just welcoming everybody as we get started with our jam-packed program for tonight. Thank you all for joining us this evening. Really, really excited to share a lot of updates with you all, but I'll start off by mentioning that if I haven't mentioned this already in past meetings, we actually are moving away from using the signing link that we have used in previous meetings, where now, because you are able to pre-register through Zoom, we're able to extract the data on Zoom to let us know who ended up attending the meeting. So no need for folks to sign in anymore. But again, if you have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. And someone from IJ will do their best to help you with that answer. But if not, my colleague Antoinette and I will definitely circle back to you in the next couple of days once we've had a chance to get through the chat. But with that being said, happy February, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I saw some folks that were sharing in the chat. It's their first time, so welcome. We hope that you leave tonight's meeting with a lot of information that you can take back and reflect on, and to see how you can help our organization with the work that we are doing. To kick us off this evening, I wanted to announce that we actually have 14 new Initiate Justice outside members that we wanted to recognize. For folks who are new, you become an outside member by attending 3 out of 4 meetings. And so you also have to take part in a committee and actively participate in that to be an official Initiate Justice member. All new members receive a welcome package that includes a t-shirt and some other Initiate Justice goodies. But for the month of February, we have 14 new members, and I wanted to recognize them all. Again, all of this information is sent out in a post-meeting recap for you all. So whatever information you didn't get, you'll be able to rewatch in the video and also read about it in the email that will follow up in the next couple of days. But without further ado, I just wanted to announce our members that we are officially welcoming into the Initiate Justice family. So congratulations to Alice Montez, Becky Scott, Beth Ford, Elizabeth Kibbe, Stephanie Mendez, Guadalupe Reyes Flores, Javier Castillo Jr., Larry Abbott, Mary Moreno, Max Coyle, Ricardo Jimenez, Rod Thompson, Sarah and Vanessa Salazar. All of these names I recognize from being participants in various of our committees. So that's really exciting to see folks who are really involved with helping us in our work that we are doing. You'll be hearing more about what each committee does and some of the work that they've been working on in a couple of minutes. I just wanted to really take a moment to recognize those members for their efforts in participating in our organizations and the committees that we have for everybody to join in. So at the end of the committee updates, which we will get to in a moment, folks will have the opportunity to sign up for a committee if you haven't done so already. And we'll be sure to send out the information for upcoming events for that meeting after tonight's meeting. But congratulations to all of those new members. Be on the lookout for an email from me to get information so that way we can send you your new member welcome package. But with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to my co-host and co-pilot for this evening, Antoinette, who is going to share some updates as far as what's going on at Initiate Justice.
Thank you, Daisy. And again, I just want to join with Daisy and the rest of us here at Initiate Justice in appreciating and welcoming our new members for supporting our work and everything that we do here at IJ. So just to get us caught up with some of our organizational updates and what's going on with Initiate Justice. So some of you may have already seen, if you haven't, you're going to hear tonight, our Institute of Impacted Leaders application is live. So for those who are not familiar with the Institute of Impacted Leaders, it's a 12-week organizing and leadership training program designed specifically to activate the political power of those of us who are directly impacted by mass incarceration. So when our executive director, Taina, established Initiate Justice, she did it with the understanding that those of us closest to the issue of mass incarceration actually have the insight and the lived experience needed to end it. If only that we all had the tools to do so. So the Institute of Impacted Leaders is literally that program that equips people directly impacted by mass incarceration with those tools and the knowledge that we need to fight in ending mass incarceration through statewide policy change. Participants of the Institute learn the essentials of community organizing. We learn the state policy and the state legislative process in California. We learn how to change statewide laws and how to advocate for ourselves and for our loved ones who are in prison. I say ourselves because I myself am a product of the Institute of Impacted Leaders. Those who graduate from the Institute go on to become our outside organizers like Indigo and Rashida, who lead our healing circles, and so many others here on this call. We have Adrian, we have Crystal, who now works with Initiate Justice. And again, so not only do we become outside organizers to continue to push the work by leading our actual working committees and bringing Initiate Justice in the work we do to our communities, but many even accelerate and advance beyond that to become full-time Initiate Justice staff like myself, like Crystal, like Daisy. And so basically, it's literally a program that's, again, designed specifically for those of us who are impacted to raise our voice, to build our voice, and to equip us with those tools that we need to be active in the political process in the state of California. And you can take those tools beyond. So our institute this spring is launching 4 cohorts: Fresno, Orange County, San Fernando Valley, and the Long Beach, South Bay, LA area. So we highly encourage anyone in those areas to apply. Just a little bit about what the requirements are for the application process. There isn't much required, just that you are directly impacted by mass incarceration. Either yourself is formerly incarcerated or you are supporting a loved one who is currently or formerly incarcerated, and that you're committed and you're interested in learning how to fight for freedom for all of us who are impacted. Those are the only 2 requirements. So we ask that if you're interested to please apply. The only individuals who I would say please hold off on applying are those who are either in San Diego, Bakersfield, San Jose, or Santa Barbara, because summer, we're launching another 4 cohorts in your area. So if you're in any one of those 4 areas, then just hold off until our summer applications release. Otherwise, our spring cohorts are launching. The application is open until Friday, February 19th. And we ask that you just simply submit your application, get those tools, get the knowledge, and build yourself to not only advocate for yourself and your loved one, but join the rest of us in this fight to end mass incarceration. So for our spring cohort, just a little briefing on the timeline, what that looks like. Again, applications are out now until February 19th. Once application process closed, we'll be going through those submissions, and we will begin with our info session the very first week of March. After that, within the next 2 weeks, the cohorts start. Sessions will be consecutively once a week for 12 weeks. So that runs through to the beginning of June, which our cohorts will begin to wrap up, and our graduation will be scheduled for the month of June. And that's what the timeline looks like. So if you have any questions, any concerns, I'm going to plug a link, if Daisy hasn't already, into the chat with just a little bit more information. And also some frequently asked questions. Something that a lot of individuals are asking is, does the program cost? No, the program is completely free. Materials are provided to you completely free of charge. And actually, to mitigate any cost or any financial barriers, you actually receive a $500 stipend upon successful completion of the Institute of Impacted Leaders cohort. And again, that's to mitigate any financial barriers and encourage your continued involvement in the fight to end mass incarceration. So I just plugged a link in the chat with more information, answers to some frequently asked questions. Feel free to email me directly if you have any questions on that application process, or if you just want to talk about the requirements, or if you just anything, feel free to use my email, which I am plugging into the chat right now. So I just wanted to give that brief update on the Institute. Some other updates, like I said, so graduating from the Institute, you become an official outside organizer, but that also opens up opportunities, because Initiate Justice hires directly from our organizing and our membership base. And right now we actually have 2 open positions that we're hiring for. So I just want to inform you all on those 2 positions. The first one is for a deputy director. So Initiate Justice is looking for a committed, a dedicated deputy director. What does that mean? The deputy director is going to serve directly under our executive director to assist in the leading, the developing, and the strategic planning of the organization as a whole. Basically, you'll help set the bigger picture goals and the big picture strategy for the organization, and you'll help us actually operationalize those goals and put those campaigns and any programs into action, as well as supporting with various department functions to ensure that our staff and our departments are equipped to operate effectively and strategically throughout the organization. So the deputy director position, I will plug the link for that application right now into the chat. So if you know anyone, if you yourself are interested, please, please, please take a look at that application. That'll go over the position in more detail, as well as what the application process looks like. And that's not the only position that we're hiring for. So we're also hiring immediately for a comms manager, a communications manager, or communications director. Now, that position we're hiring for immediately. So if you're interested in that one, then you need to submit your application like yesterday. Submit it now. So I will also plug that application into the chat if Daisy doesn't beat me to it. But what is the communications director or communication manager responsible for? So they're responsible for supporting our executive director and our staff members in uplifting the stories of people that are directly impacted and shifting the narrative of the public, of elected officials, toward understanding a more restorative and just public safety system here in the state of California and beyond. The position is responsible for telling IJ's story and why our model works, why our inside-outside organizing strategy works, why our work actually matters, and doing so on our website, social media platforms, newsletters, articles, and all of those various platforms that we use to get our stories out. We're looking for someone who takes initiative, someone who understands what it means to fight for an end to mass incarceration, who understands abolition, and who is really looking to tell our truths, right? To tell the truths of those who are system impacted. So if you know anyone, again, or if you yourself are interested, please, please, please apply. And as always, Initiate Justice is operated by those who are directly impacted. So if you are directly impacted, we highly encourage you to apply, because those are the individuals that we hire to lead and continue to ensure the effective operation of this organization. And I'll just leave a quick moment in case anyone has any questions on those three things real quick before I move on.
We did have someone in the chat ask a question that I wanted to flag. That way other folks who maybe were wondering the same thing could get the answer from you, Antoinette. But thank you so much for that very informative overview of the Institute and the positions that we are currently hiring for. Someone was wondering whether folks can apply if they don't live in any of those mentioned areas.
Yes. Okay. So how we are addressing that right now for spring, due to COVID, our cohort is completely virtual. That means everything is happening on Zoom. Therefore, I still highly encourage you to apply. If capacity should permit, it's possible. It's very possible. We had Crystal reps the 818 San Fernando Valley, but she graduated from the IE cohort in the Inland Empire, which happened last year, completely virtual, all by Zoom. So if you're not in those direct areas, I would still say apply. I'm telling you, yes, still apply, because yes, it's a Zoom institute. Due to COVID, we're doing everything virtually. So again, unless you're in those other mentioned areas like San Diego, Bakersfield, San Jose, or Santa Barbara, which we're just advising to wait until summer, that way you can actually organize and work alongside those in your community. Otherwise, apply, submit your application. And if capacity permits, you could possibly end up in one of our Zoom virtual cohorts. Thank you, Daisy, for that question. And if you're still concerned or you still don't know, shoot me an email and we can talk about it. Were there any other questions y'all caught in the chat? Because I'm seeing it go up, but I'm not reading.
We do have one that just came in regarding the positions that are open. What the interview and hiring timeline is like for the open positions.
Okay, so one thing that I want to highlight is for the communications manager or communications director position, we are looking to hire someone immediately. That means we're going through applications, scheduling interviews, it's happening. So if you're interested in that particular position, again, please, please, please get us an application today, tomorrow, this week. do it as soon as possible because we are actively going through those applications and trying to hire a communications manager or director. The deputy director position will be open until both positions will be open until they're filled. The deputy director position, we don't have a particular timeline on that one. We're looking for the most qualified, most fit person for the position. Therefore, we're not rushing the application process. Same for the for all positions. But I just want to again highlight the fact that for the comms position, that's happening like today, yesterday, like right now. So submit that application immediately. I would just highly encourage you do it at least by the end of this week to ensure that you get consideration. And for the deputy director position, that one is going to be open until it is filled as well. And we're just looking for someone who is most suitable and most qualified to fulfill those shoes here at Initiate Justice. So if you're seriously inquiring or you're seriously interested, be very aggressive in just submitting that as soon as you have the opportunity to do so. You're welcome. Were there any other questions on either of those? No, going once, going twice. Okay, I don't want to take up too much time because we also want to get updates from all of our wonderful active working committees that do this work consistently. So just real quick, Initiate Justice has partnered with the team behind a documentary film called Belly of the Beast. It is a New York Times critic pick featuring an original song by one of my favorite artists, Mary J. Blige. And they're partnering with various other leading organizations across the country to host a special virtual screening of the film, as well as a panel discussion to follow on vital issues around industrialized racism in our criminal justice system, modern day eugenics, the reproductive injustice within communities of color, and various other ways in which the criminal justice system and mass incarceration impacts our women of color. So that panel discussion is going to be this Saturday, February 6th at 5 p.m. But the film, we're getting an exclusive pre-screening to the film this week. So one thing that I want to plug real quick is the trailer for that. So if you haven't already, take a look at the trailer, and it was captivating for me. It's going to be captivating for y'all. And after you do that, watch your emails, because Initiate Justice is getting, again, a special invite to screen it. Nobody else, it's not showing widely. It's not showing in all theaters. It's a select viewing, and we have it special for all of our followers and all of y'all who support IJ's work. So the trailer has been plugged. Daisy put the RSVP link in for the panel discussion. I'll be there. I hope some of y'all join me there, but look out in your emails for a announcement from us this week with the link to actually view the entire film. Again, it's super exciting because these are the ways in which our stories get uplifted. These are the ways in which we captivate people across the world into taking a look at what is really happening inside these prisons, inside these jails, and inside this beast that is taking out so many of our loved ones. So just wanted to plug those few quick things. And then also you can follow the actual film on Instagram for more information here at Belly of the Beast Film. So those are my updates. Those are the just high level updates for the organization, but we actually have more updates coming to you from each of our committees that do this work and advance our mission here at IJ. So if there's any questions, I will put my email in the chat again. Otherwise, I will go ahead and pass it along to our committees to give us a few updates. So no questions, going once, going twice, 3 times. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and pass it on to our Advocacy Committee. Thank y'all for your time, and we'll chat again very soon.
Thank you, Antoinette. Good evening, everyone. My name is Greg, Policy Manager for Initiate Justice. I use he, him, his pronouns. With my colleague Sarah, we run the Advocacy Committee. I'm going to give a few updates, then I'm going to kick it to Sarah, and then we'll plug our next meeting time, which is always the third Tuesday of the month for the Advocacy Committee. So for 2021, we have some really, really big plans. And we're only going to be successful with the help of all of you, right? Like something I always say to the committee is that like we are looking at the lobbying firm for Initiate Justice, right? It's 100% grassroots, it's 100% people power, but it's all of us mobilizing together and just using our collective resources to help us push this legislation in Sacramento. So our legislative package is like 50% finalized. We will be on AB 256 this year, which is the Racial Justice Act for All with Assembly Member Ash Kalra. It's a follow-up to the original Racial Justice Act of last year, seeking to make these same protections and protections against racial bias and discrimination in the courtroom retroactive, so that everybody who is in prison now will have access to that same level of justice and fairness. The second bill that we already have a number for is AB 292. With Assemblymember Mark Stone. It's our Access to Programming Act. It's a reintroduction of AB 3160 that was dropped last year because of the pandemic. I'm really excited about that one and just making sure that we're removing a lot of the roadblocks for our loved ones inside to be accessing these programs and accruing these credits to help them earn their release. We also have a gun enhancement bill that we'll be introducing really soon, probably like next week. We'll do like a whole press release and we'll have like a whole rollout for that, but we're seeking to eliminate or significantly reduce the time that is associated with gun enhancements. So gun enhancements are one of the most extreme enhancements in terms of the amount of time it can add to on top of somebody's conviction, on top of somebody's sentence. So we see that as just one of these structural things that we need to get out of the way in order to do our work in ending mass incarceration. But we know that when anything we're doing in the Capitol is going to have opposition, but something like this is going to have a lot of opposition from law enforcement and from DAs. So going to need everybody going hard on that. Jeanette, I just see your question now. Yes, it will be retroactive. That is 100% the goal. Sorry if I missed anybody else's question up till now. But let me pass to Sarah to talk about abolition office hours and the fourth bill that we'll be working on this year.
Thanks, Greg. So first, the fourth bill we're working on is a compassionate release and medical parole bill to streamline the CDC's definition of medical eligibility with the CDCRs, and then also to create a compassionate release program that would be automatically initiated during any time of any state of emergency. So if this was in place before COVID, a lot of our loved ones who are most vulnerable and at risk would be at home already. And among a few other changes, streamlining CDC and CDCR regulations, and then also making sure that healthcare officials outside of CDCR are able to have a say as well. And then as for committee updates, I'm excited to announce that our first abolition office hours is this coming Tuesday at 5:30. Super excited. We're going to be talking about transformative justice, and it's going to be a space to really talk about, what does it mean to build a society where prisons aren't our solutions, and what does that look like in our everyday lives? So I'm super excited, and please come join. And as Daisy mentioned in the chat, we'll be sharing a link to join all of the different committees. So if you're interested in the abolition office hours, then feel free to join the Advocacy Committee and you'll get all of the information for that. And then our next committee meeting is Tuesday, February 16th at 5:30. And then I also want to plug that the Tuesday after that will be Greg's office hours. So we're starting policy office hours to talk about any loose ends in the Advocacy Committee meeting, but then also if any of y'all have any questions about policy or anything, feel free to get involved with the Advocacy Committee, and then we can also connect over policy office hours. And lastly, as usual, if you have any questions, feel free to contact Greg or me. Greg's email is greg@initiatejustice and mine is policy@initiatejustice.org. I will put those in the chat, and that's all from Advocacy Committee.
Thanks, Sarah and Greg. And again, folks, we are going to be sharing this information in an email in the next couple of days. So you'll have their contact information, the link to join their committee if you're interested, as well as a sheet that explains a little bit more in detail what the committee does if you wanted to have that information with you. So for the purpose of time, I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to Lee, who runs our Inside Organizing Committee and is also a graduate of the Institute of Impacted Leaders. And you're on mute, Lee.
Thank you so much, Daisy, and thank you everyone for joining us, and especially to the policy professors that just went before me. Welcome, you amazing advocates and you social justice magicians. We're at it again. This year is no different than the year before. We're coming after the system and we're going to abolish it and we're going to break it down. So this is what we're going to do in the Inside Organizing. What we do is we organize over 160 people and we're growing. Like, I think we've had over 1,000 people that want to become part of Inside Organizing from inside. So we're going to need your all's help, plain and simple. We're going to need your assistance. We're going to need your ability and your wisdom and the energy that you bring to the table to be able to activate and organize those inside and to be able to train them up to speed on what we're trying to do and the policies and the bills that we're trying to pass. So currently we're working on not only a newsletter and a newspaper, but we're also working on a new correspondence course to where we can hopefully be able to get some RAC credits for the folks inside about becoming civically involved and civically engaged. And so please come over, join us, come and have a little bit of fun with us. We meet every Thursday night. Every first Thursday of the month at 5:30. And so that's tomorrow. So if you haven't gotten enough of the 95 attendees that joined tonight, please come, and all 95 of you are welcome to join tomorrow. We'll take you in and we'll be able to utilize your talents and your skill sets. Please, if you have any questions, hit me up at lee@initiatejustice.org. I'll be more than welcome to answer any types of questions that you have or steer you in the right directions. If your family members, your loved ones inside want to hit me up, they can too. Please just come over and join what we're doing and become part of the movement if you're not already. And if you are a part of the movement, we thank you so much for joining us. And Daisy talked a little bit about the belly of the beast viewing. It's going to be a rough one just by looking at the trailer. And please, like, if you have any issues or any problems, you can reach out to Rashida and Indigo. They'll be more than welcome to hold your hand and talk to you and walk you through what is happening in there, because our system, like I said in the chat, is whack. And the way it treats our people inside is just ridiculous. So that right there is going to be something that is going to be not only enlightening for a bunch of people, but it's also going to be very powerful. And I think that us together as a community is going to be able to walk through it and be able to kind of come out of it on the other end stronger and to be able to advocate for our loved ones inside. So that's all I have. And before Daisy takes it over, I know that she has the inside membership maven of Crystal up next. And so just thank you so much for attending us tonight. And thank you so much for being a part of this space and this arena that we're in.
Thank you, Lee, and for always gifting us with your amusing titles for our members. So tonight we are social justice magicians, apparently. So let's make some magic happen. And again, any questions, feel free to direct them to lee@initiatejustice.org. Keep in mind that his committee is meeting tomorrow. So if you could email either Lee, myself, or Antoinette before 5 o'clock tomorrow, that way we can get you that information if you're wanting to attend that meeting. But thank you for that update, Lee. And up next, we have Crystal with our Inside Membership update.
Thank you, Daisy. And it's always a challenge going after Lee, I will say. But hello, everyone. My name is Crystal, pronouns she, her, hers. I am the Inside Membership Coordinator with Initiate Justice. My responsibilities are to communicate and connect with our Insider members. We currently have 34,244 members on the inside. That number is quickly growing. We're so happy for that. The updates I want to share is that we had a very successful mail night last Thursday. we responded to 76 pieces of mail, and we had 40 participants. I want to give a huge and special shout out to everyone who participated. I see most of y'all on this call. And I want to give a very, very special thanks to our facilitators, Anna, Sophia, Michelle, Sarah, and Mireya. You all helped facilitate 2 mail nights this month, and we are so grateful for you all. With that being said, we have 34,000 members. We want and expect that number to grow. I love the way Lee said one time is we're gonna increase it, it's gonna grow, and then we're gonna systematically decrease it until we shut those prisons down and bring everyone home. And I wasn't going to share this number, but I'm so excited I'm gonna share it with y'all. In the month of January, we responded to 507 individuals, 507 people who send us mail and ask for help. We answered their questions, we answered their concerns, we gave them the tools necessary, you know, to help their situation, to amplify their voice. And I want to say that I'm so grateful for everyone who has been a part of that. And yeah, with that being said, I'm going to put the mail interest form in the chat. My next committee is going to be Wednesday, February 10th at 5:30. That's next Wednesday, second Wednesday of the month. And yeah, thank you all so much for your support and for showing up.
Thanks, Crystal. And can you drop your email in the chat so folks can reach out to you in case you have any questions? But thank you again to everybody who helped take part in our mail nights and also our data entry nights, because that's how we are able to get new members added to our database. So keep an eye out for upcoming events that Crystal will be hosting. And again, just grateful for everybody who assists in whatever capacity they have to help our organization. So next up is me. I'm just giving a quick update on the newest committee that we have set up that Antoinette and I co-lead, which is the Outside Membership Committee. And so we had our first meeting last week. We had an amazing turnout, over 15 participants who helped brainstorm the work that we are trying to do, which is really wanting to expand the way that we are reaching out to folks, getting participation and empowering our members with the tools they need to be the advocates that we want them to be in the areas that they live and serve. And so what we focused on for our first meeting was talking about the membership structure as it is. We got a lot of feedback from folks that Antoinette and I are going to be incorporating to really make sure that we can make the membership itself accessible to folks from what it currently is. So stay tuned for those updates. And we also had a very engaging conversation as far as the chapter model that we've been mentioning for a couple of months now for folks who are new. Antoinette and I had shared a couple of months back that Initiate Justice is really trying to launch a chapter model where we can have local groups in certain regions in California that can have community members it serves as a resource hub for folks to be able to tap into the work that we are doing at IJ, and also give folks the tools and knowledge to be able to engage with what's happening at the local level with the support of that chapter. So a lot of members gave us a lot of good feedback that we could incorporate, such as utilizing community groups such as student clubs and working with local colleges. So we're actually going to be starting to plan based off the feedback that we received, which is amazing. So thank you to everybody who participated in that. And for folks who wanted to take part in this committee, we are meeting again in February on the 24th. Our meetings are I believe it's the fourth Wednesday of the month. And our meetings are at 5:30. We do record our meetings and have notes. So for anybody who wasn't able to join the first meeting, please feel free to email myself, daisy@initiatejustice.org, and I can get you added to our Google group and send you a copy of the notes and the recording. But with that being said, I'll go ahead and pass it off to Healing, who's going to close us out with committee updates before we launch into the next session of our meeting. So Rashida is going to be giving that update. So go ahead and take it away, Rashida.
Yes, thank you, Daisy. Again, welcome everyone. And I just first want to just start with the statement saying that there is power in healing. And I just think that I want to sit with that just a second, like how powerful it is to heal and how necessary it is, how essential and how much is needed, especially in this work. Then I want to follow up by saying thank you to our facilitators, Graham, Miss Betty, Manny, Indigo, and everyone who has contributed to our healing committee. There's so many of us on the call, but I just want to thank you all for showing up each session. Last month we had our numbers increase and it was amazing, which means we're expanding, right? So it's me and Indigo will be training facilitators. So if you are interested in becoming a healing facilitator this spring, please email us at joinhealing@Initiate Justice. And then of course, if you're interested in providing insight, feedback, and ways we can expand our healing, please join our healing committee. But again, our last healing committee that we had was very powerful. Our men's circle powerful. It only is growing and getting better. And it is a sacred space. So if you are looking for that, please feel free to join us. Our next healing committee for men, which is led by Graham and Manny, again, a powerful circle, is February 8th. Then we have our formerly incarcerated circle, which is February 15th. We have our impacted loved ones circle, which is led by me and Indigo, February 17th. And then we're going to end it February 22nd with our healing committee. And those are our updates. If you guys have any questions about healing, any resources you may need, you're always welcome to email us and someone will get back to you within a reasonable time frame. And that's all that I have. Indigo, did I miss anything? All right, we're good. We're
Point.
we're good to go. And again, thank you for showing up, because when we show up, we're showing up for each other and on behalf of our loved ones. And we have everybody, we hold them in space and community with love and compassion. And so, yeah, that's all I have to say. But remember, there's power in healing. And that's it. Thank you, Daisy.
Thank you so much, Rashida, for that update. And it really is a team effort. So as she mentioned, several of our facilitators are actually graduates of our institute. So we really are working with each other to help us, progress through all the work that we are doing. So we linked in the chat the RSVP link for any of the healing committee events that were announced. And we know that there was a lot of information thrown out in terms of when various committees are meeting. So we have a calendar of events that we dropped in the chat that you can download, print, save for you to access what's happening at Initiate Justice for the month of February. So that is for you to use. And again, all of this information will be shared out in a follow-up email in the next couple of days. So again, that is courtesy of you for registering. So thank you so much for registering. That's how we have the information for where to reach out to you. But I think we're right on time. So I'm gonna go ahead and just do one last shout out, which is for anybody who wants to join a committee and is already knows off the bat tonight that they want to join a committee. I just dropped in the chat the link that you can use to fill out our new member form and select what committees you're interested in. Again, we have the first one meeting tomorrow, which is Lee's Inside Organizing Committee, and all the others will follow through the rest of the month of February. So please do fill that form out if you'd like. Otherwise, we will be sending this link out with a follow-up email. But without further ado, I'm going to pass it off to Antoinette, who's going to segue us into the next portion of tonight's event.
Thank you, Daisy. Thank you, Healing. Thank you, Inside Organizing, Inside Membership, Advocacy, all of our committees. Thank you so much for giving us updates. So today, what our focus is actually going to be focusing on getting individuals in our community and all of us civically engaged year round. So who knows? Okay, democracy needs what, y'all? What does democracy need? Everyone, yes, democracy needs everyone. So for those who don't know, last year we were able to work with so many other amazing organizations and impacted people to spearhead and win Proposition 17. What was Proposition 17? It was a campaign that actually came directly from inside a California state prison that said, in order for us to truly make laws and change laws that impact or that are beneficial for those who are incarcerated, formerly incarcerated, or impacted by mass incarceration, we need to give them back their right to vote. So what did we do? We passed Proposition 17, which gave the right to vote back to over 50,000 Californians currently on parole. What does that mean? It means they completed their sentence, they came home, they're working in their communities, raising their families, spearheading organizations like this, doing the work, and now they actually have a right to vote where their voice can be heard. So thankfully, we now have some 50,000 people who can now participate in our democracy fairly and deservingly. They deserve to do so. So today, what we want to focus on is how can we encourage those individuals to vote? Not only that, how can we make sure that they know that their voice will be heard, that they know that their vote counts, that they know that they can go to the polls without being afraid of being arrested or afraid of literally disobeying the law. No, it is their legal right now to vote. Thank you to Proposition 17. Thank you to all of those in California who voted. It was actually one of the most successful propositions that passed in the last 2020 elections. Lee with the backgrounds, I love it. So with that, today what we want to do is we want to break us into groups and basically have a conversation with one another to see where we can develop some messaging, where we can develop some language that we can use when we go out into our communities or just in every day when we're at the grocery store speaking to individuals. So Initiate Justice is following through with the victory of Prop 17 by working with so many other organizations across the state of California, voter registration organizations, voting rights organizations, to ensure that those who now have the right to vote are fully informed on how to, are fully informed on when to, are fully informed on how to successfully participate in the democracy here in the state of California. So in doing so, again, we identified a few areas where our help is needed. And one of those areas was developing peer-to-peer messaging and peer-to-peer language that we can use, whether it's in sending out a tweet, whether it's in sending out a text message, talking to somebody in the grocery store, stopping somebody on the street, whoever it is that we talk to, we're limited, right, because of COVID as to who we can talk to, but that doesn't change the fact that we can send messages, we can post tweets, we can post Instagram, we can post on Facebook, we can still get that messaging out, but we want to make sure that those who truly trust us, those who are in our community, when they hear it from us, they trust us, they hear us, and they believe us. So what type of messaging can we use to do so? I want to pass it to Daisy real quick, just to give a little bit more insight as to why this is so important, opposed from making sure that some 50,000 impacted people are voting in favor of our laws, right? That are actually going to work for progressive reforms and progressive change and transformative justice. Why else is it important that we're civically engaging those year round in the election process and in the voting process?
Thanks, Antoinette. And just because I know you haven't had a chance to look at the comments, we are preaching there with you, sister. So thank you for that wonderful sermon. A lot of our members are directly impacted, either having been formerly incarcerated themselves or have a loved one that's incarcerated. We have in the room tonight at least 2 inside organizers. There could be more. I know that we've been getting letters from folks that they're being released and look forward to joining us at our meetings, but there are at least 2 inside organizers in the room who took part in mobilizing and helping us with our efforts with the past campaigns, but really thinking about how some of our members are, on parole currently, and, for them up until Prop 17, they didn't have that right to vote until now. And so with the help of every single person who participated in lifting up the Proposition 17 campaign and lifting, more importantly, the voices of those who are directly impacted, the stories of those and why they are really wanting to get involved in our democracy, to quote our slogan, democracy needs everyone. And so we really are the ones that are going to be moving us in the direction that we're trying to get to pass the policies to help secure freedom for everybody else that got left behind. And so this is why the conversation tonight, especially with the Proposition 17 passage, we're working on the implementation of what that looks like. And we want to make sure that, in 2020, we already have elections coming up, and that's going to be part of the presentation that tonight is hearing from the Register Recorder's Office from Los Angeles County about the election of 2020, and just to how you need to create a voting plan so that way you have the information that you need to go out in the community and inform folks who are impacted, who will now be able to vote as a result of Prop 17 to participate in the elections that are happening this year, and start getting engaged and start, participating. So with that being said, we are going to go into breakout rooms. That way you have some time to just talk about that peer-to-peer messaging activity. And again, the goal in this breakout session is to, as a group, help you all think through a couple of some messaging strategies that we can use to help inform folks who are on parole that they have the right to vote now, how they can exercise that right, and why it's important for them to do so. And so, we're hoping that each group has an opportunity to share back what key takeaways they had from this brainstorming session, and we'll be able to use these examples to create an outreach toolkit. So I'm going to go ahead and break us out into breakout rooms, and we'll be doing a breakout room message to resend that message that we just shared. So be right back while I go into Zoom mode.
Thank you, Daisy. So while Daisy gets the rooms figured out, just to, again, clarify what we're asking, we're just asking that as a group that y'all discuss for a few minutes and develop a 2 to 3 minute or a 2 to 3 sentence message. It could be a couple of messages, or it can be one message that can be used to inform people that they have the right to vote, how they can exercise that right, and why they should exercise that right. Or you can choose one of those three and develop your message around that. But just kind of discuss as a group. We also plug the Democracy Needs Everyone report. If you need some additional resources or just more language, the Democracy Needs Everyone report is very beneficial and helpful to use to help guide your discussion. And Mackenzie asked, should we record this anywhere specific? We just ask that one person either record it, either write it down, either on paper or somewhere, and we're just going to ask you to share it out when we come back into the larger room. We're going to ask one person from each group to share the message that you came up with, and we're going to take note of all of those messages developed here tonight and use that to continue developing our strategy for outreach and implementation in terms of Proposition 17.
All right, we're good to go. So see you all in a couple of minutes.
Welcome back. Looks like some people are still trickling in. Some need to be re-admitted, so I'll admit them. How was that? Good? Nice? Okay, so as it looks like everyone's still kind of coming back, what we're gonna do is a quick share out. We've got about 5 minutes to kind of just do a larger share out with some people, whoever wants to maybe share. But I also wanted to take a moment and just let everyone know that we can drop as well our messaging in the chat. So I am going to open it up for anybody who wants to volunteer to share their group campaign. I also want to highly
What up?
to drop to drop the messaging that you came up with your group into the chat box as well. So we're still waiting on a few people to come back, it looks like. But it looks like I see some people already dropping it in the chat. So yes, so again, welcome back everyone. I want to open the floor up for people to share out loud what their group came up with. And I also want to encourage, in case we can't get through every single group, I want to encourage everyone to drop it in the chat. So whoever wants to go first, please unmute yourself and share with us what your group came up with.
I can go.
Thank you, Alice.
Of course. So my group, we came up with, now that your voice counts, it's time to fight back.
you. Oh, somebody's unmuted. Go ahead.
Okay. So I was in a group with Amy, Rachel, and Ricardo, and Amy suggested that we could do your vote, your like a visual campaign, like your vote could change this, and something as simple as showing somebody giving their family member a hug, or going to the store, or paying a bill. Uh, uh, Amy also suggested like a commercial, which could also be just like a visual aesthetics of living regular life and being a contributing member to society. Um, Rachel suggested like a DMV informational, because one thing parolees are required to do is get a license or get a driver's license or ID. So like some type of informational packet we could leave at like the DMV, or to inform people. And Rachel also suggested, and it's a really good one, is that we can base uh, informational, because we the disinformation campaign from all these centuries about your vote don't matter. We can use like the margins from this past election, how they were so narrow, to show that the vote actually matters. Especially in like local elections as well, instead of just the national presidential elections.
Nice. Thank you so much for sharing, Jay. I see Jeanette has her hand raised. Jeanette, what did your group come up with?
Yes, let me just, we put it in the chat box. We put, did you know, we started off with a question. Did you know that if you were formerly incarcerated and are on parole, you now have the right to vote in California? Your voice matters and your vote counts. And then we talked about like including like the website of where individuals can find like their senator and their rep, and like putting like also for like information where they can locate local like any local voting polls, which voting poll they belong to, and if there's anything going on like when we have to vote for judges or district attorneys, um, or there's just in like school board, any other like local elections, like so they can practice their vote to the max, not just like the every 4 years presidency type of deal, but like their whole like their voice entirely.
Yes, thank you so much, Jeanette. And thank you for sharing that, because that's something that we're going to talk about a little bit later tonight as well. And so I just want to open the floor for one more person who maybe wants to volunteer. I see the chat is going up, so we love it. We love it. Thank you so much. Was there one more person who maybe wanted to volunteer?
I can go, Antoinette. This is Graham. My pronouns are he, him, his. So I heard a lot of similarities in what other people have shared so far. What we came up with was, at first we had a fluid conversation around like where messaging could take place. And there's a lot of digital lifer meetings during COVID, and there were lifer meetings prior to COVID. That's the term that they call them, lifer meetings. And there's a lot of there's a lot of locations where people who are on parole frequent. And so we said that those are good places for the messaging to take place. And through that, our group had a conversation around your voice and your vote count, because we feel like there's a lot of folks who feel like maybe they're, even with their vote, even through Prop 17, their voice doesn't matter, and that single vote might not make a difference. So we talked about that being like the slogan, a slogan, and then giving some stats or bullet points on like exactly how a single vote can impact. And also the point that Jay made came up for us too. The fact that, what 50,000 votes can do in an election year and in a voting season, what that really can do should be in messaging.
Yes, thank you so much, Graham. I really appreciate you for sharing that. Yeah, we have some great suggestions coming through the chat as well as it looks like some plugs. We have some votes for using TikTok. So we absolutely love it. And again, like Daisy mentioned earlier, we actually save and thoroughly go through these chats. So if you see your messaging that your group came up with somewhere on Instagram, on Twitter, or hell, on TikTok, don't be surprised. But I'm going to bring us all back in. We have a special presentation for you all in just a moment here. So I'm actually going to bring Daisy back up to our virtual stage to introduce our presenter for tonight.
Thanks, Antoinette. I'm like trying to multitask with like the chat and my notes and everything that's happening, but that's why we're recording this meeting. So we can go and look at that again. So anyways, without further ado, just wanted to share my screen because we are having a awesome presentation today. I'm trying to figure out how do I do this. Give me 1 second, friends. I'm still trying to figure out how to multitask. Okay, so let's go to present. Tonight, we are being joined by Philip Verbara with the LA Registrar Recorder's Office. Phil currently is the manager for community outreach for the LA County Registrar's Office. He received his BA in political science from Cal State Fullerton in 1996. In 2005, Philip joined the LA County Registrar Recorder / County Clerk's Office working in the Administration Bureau. And while Philip enjoyed his work in administration field, he actually preferred to serve the public in a more direct manner. And so in 2012, he joined the Registrar's Governmental and Legislative Affairs Division, where he managed a community and voter outreach operation, where he received a crash course in outreach courtesy of the presidential primary election. Phil currently continues to grow as an outreach manager and is working diligently to expand community and voter outreach operations in LA County. So really, really excited to have Phil with us today. Phil, if you're able to unmute yourself, otherwise one of my amazing colleagues will do that on our end and find you. But without further ado, the floor is yours, and thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Right on. Thanks a lot, Daisy. First off, yeah, thank you for giving us this forum tonight. Definitely love reaching out. You know, LA County is the largest, most diverse voting jurisdiction in the nation. We cover 4,000 square miles. You know, we have more people in Los Angeles County than 42 out of 50 states have a total population. So being involved with the community-based organizations like yourself, being able to get the message out to you guys, it's absolutely imperative in Los Angeles County. So thank you very much. I was really excited when Daisy reached out and said, "Hey, Phil, you know, we have this meeting. Can you do it in the evenings?" Absolutely. You know, I gotta be there when the people are ready to go. Let's do this. And I said, "What would you like to cover?" You know, I could do like recaps. I could do upcoming elections, behind the scenes vote by mail, participation. And Daisy was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Okay, let's do it all. How much time do I have? Hour and a half or so?" "You got 15 minutes. So I was like, "All right, cool. We can make this happen." So I'm going to go over those 4 topics. Ultimately, my end goal here is to help you see that lavote.net. That's our website. That's the registrar's website. Definitely look at that as a resource. You know, I heard people talking about how do we reach out? How do we let those that are affected by Prop 17 know they're eligible to vote? You know, lavote.net. You could register right there. We have information about the passage of Prop 17. We have a link there. You could register and vote instantly. I heard other people talking about, hey, what about something that stresses the power of your voting on the local level? We do a presentation called Impact Your Vote, and that's designed to show you the power of your vote at your local level. You know, we talk about stories, you know, people calling in for potholes. And what's the first thing that councilman does? You know, when you call the councilman, they look at your voting history, say, "Oh, look at this whole neighborhood votes. Let's get on the city. They got to go fix that pothole." Or, you know, "Hey, this neighborhood doesn't really vote. All right, well, they'll call the city. Yeah, you guys are on it. Okay, they'll get to it when they get to it." You know, so there's direct impact right there. That's your day-to-day life. So we definitely want to stress participation, you know, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Bless you. So real quick, let's go ahead and jump onto the first slide, Daisy, if you can help me out there. So real quick, November general election, a snapshot. You know, LA County, like I said, we're the largest, most diverse voting jurisdiction in the nation. We have over 5.5 million people registered to vote. We have over 6.4 that are eligible. So we got a great registration rate. Thanks to COVID, we were sending out vote by mail ballots to every registered voter in the county. So as long as you're registered, you were getting a vote by mail. Now that did not preclude you from voting in person, and this is moving forward in LA County for all elections. You will get a vote by mail if you're registered, and that's statewide in California. All registered voters will receive vote by mail ballots, but we do have in-person voting opportunities where we can do so safely. Big thing with social distancing, wearing masks, and sanitizing all equipment. We also changed the laws this past year. So we had the People's Choice Act, and we had 10 days of voting now, so including 2 weekends. So you had plenty of opportunity to get out there and vote. In addition to voting at vote centers, because of the expanded vote by mail distribution, we also had official drop boxes that we put out there across the county. We had 400 drop boxes across the county. All in all, people responded. Congratulations, LA County. We had 4.3 million people. We had 75.98% of the eligible voters in Los Angeles County turn out and vote. 3.4 million of those voted by mail. And what did we learn from that? Well, the drop boxes were hugely successful. 1 million people delivered their vote by mail ballot via USPS. 1.8 million, almost double, used the drop boxes. So those drop boxes are a huge benefit to the voters. And then finally, you know, because we're about options in LA County, we're not about taking options away. We had 560,000 people drop off their vote by mail ballot at vote centers. They just wanted to drop it off in person and know it's going directly to us, and they were able to do that. All right, let's jump to the next one. And hopefully I can get through these quick, guys, and hopefully we have some time for some question and answer. So that was November. When we don't have any time to sit back and relax, and what a great job LA County did as voters. We're moving on. So in March 2nd, we have another election right around the corner here. This is Senate District 30 special primary election, but we also have a Rio Hondo Community College up for their board district, San Marino Unified School District, and there's some special reorganization election, Lawndale School Districts and Nella Valley, Weisburn. So if you live in those areas, you're eligible for these elections. Again, if you want to know where to go to vote, if you live in these areas, you want to know if you're eligible to vote in that election, lavote.net. You know, you could register, you could check your registration status, you could find out where the vote centers are. I think we're going to have, for this election, we're going to have 14 vote centers that are open for a full 11 days. And then on election day itself, we're going to add 9 more. So we'll have a total of 23 vote centers for this upcoming election. And that's in addition to all the drop boxes that are out there across LA County right now too. Okay, next slide. So this is just letting you know, I just want everybody, you know, be sure that though our recommendation is vote by mail. That's the preferred method right now. It's the safest method. But, you know, if you do want to vote in person, this is just to guarantee that we are following all state and county social distancing, all COVID mandates regarding in-person safety. Let's go ahead and go to the next one. If someone does show up without masks, we provide a mask for them. So there's no excuse not to vote. Again, March 2nd is a special election. So if you are, we already started mailing the vote by mail ballots. They went out they were going out this past week. So some of you that are in that March 2nd in any of those districts, you'll be getting your vote by mail ballot this week. Again, you have a number of options to turn it in. You can turn it in the mailbox. You can turn it in at one of our drop boxes. You can wait through the election period, turn it in at a vote center. Nothing but options for you. Just the important part is that you definitely get that ballot filled out and turn it in. Okay, next slide. Before you submit that vote by mail, we always want to remind people, you know, make sure you put the ballot in the envelope. We have a lot of people return them. Unfortunately, we can't do nothing if they forget to put their ballot in there. Seal it, and you always got to sign and date the back, right? And people say, oh, well, you know what? I signed quick, right? Everybody has 2 signatures. I have the signature that, you know, you sign your legal documents with, and you have your work signature, which is just like your initials and a scribble. Sign how you sign all your legal documents. You know, when you register, we're comparing that information, your signature, to DMV. So sign how you sign on your driver's license. That's the best bet. Next slide. So another thing we have, this is something we partnered with the state last time and we're continuing to do, is tracking your vote by mail ballot. So where's my ballot? We work with a company called Ballot Tracks. You can get all the information right here. Or again, if you go to lavote.net, you'll get the information. You'll get alerts via text or email on your ballot. You know, hey, your ballot has arrived at USPS. Your ballot is en route to the registrar's office. Your ballot has arrived at the registrar's office, just like tracking a package that you order online. So again, just more ownership in the process and more accountability on our end, right? You're able to see it, more transparency. Okay, next slide. So one thing I asked Daisy, if I could throw in here just a quick couple minutes about what happens to your vote by mail ballot. What you're looking at there, that is the vote by mail operation. We had to take over one of those airplane hangar, one of those vendor rooms they have at the LA County Fairgrounds out in Pomona, that giant room that housed over 200 employees, all working on vote by mail for Los Angeles County. Again, people that come and observe elections, the thing they tell me about vote by mail is they'll see what we're doing, and the room we do just vote by mail in is larger than the room 90% of the counties in the nation do the entire election operation. So what you're looking at is a giant warehouse just dedicated to vote by mail. The key thing to remember here is that we're all about transparency. The law says you can come watch, right? I do tour groups. I have people here. We're out here answering questions. We have people watching us as we're working here. Let's go ahead and hit the next slide. We do a number of processes there. We'll walk you through every single process, total transparency. So you know exactly what every single person's doing. You're going to learn that every single person there does have a background check, right? We go DOJ background checks on everybody. those people are the people that are temporary employees. Everybody's hired through the county. Everybody's fingerprinting. People are recurrent employees. We've done this year after year with these same folks. It's a 7-step process. First off, we just take the incoming ballots. We're sorting through them, make sure they're signed, whatever. We have automatic signature verification. This is the one people trip on. Okay, we have a machine that in real time, it'll scan your signature on that envelope and compare it to what we have on file and tell you if it's a match or not. Now, great thing, if it's a match, it's super accurate. So if it says it's a match, we got no problem with it, and that ballot starts processing right away. The thing is, if it's not a match, right, we have it so tight, those tolerances, it could spit one out. It's like, like my grandma, right? When she got old, rest in peace, she got shaky. It could spit hers out. Well, the law says you have to have humans verify that. LA County, we're the largest in the nation. We don't just go by what the law says. We always go a step or two above and beyond that. So if this machine spits down and says, hey, we're questionable that signature, we have up to 3 people checking that signature. And even after that process, if they say it doesn't match, then we immediately send out a letter to that voter and say, hey, we had a problem signing your, verifying your signature. Please sign here. It's an opportunity to cure that and give you another chance to make sure that ballot's cast. So please, even while we're doing this at lavote.net, we have live streaming of these processes. So if you can't make it out to Pomona where we're processing, jump online and watch us, see that we're doing it. Everything's above board there. So I really want to take time to point that out. Again, LA County being the largest in the nation, it behooves us to do this right. There's always a lot of eyes on us. We're kind of like the model to the rest of the nation, whether they like it or not, right? We're making changes. I was talking in our breakout group, we actually had voting from inside one of the jail facilities in Los Angeles County during the March primary, right? We had those that were incarcerated voting alongside with deputies right there. So great opportunities all the way around. LA County definitely, breaking down doors, trying to support the efforts all the way around. Let's go to the next slide. So I talked about how do we participate. That was VBM behind the scenes. The last thing is how do we participate? Number one thing is registering to vote. And like I said, it's as easy as going to lavote.net, right? You get on there, click through, it goes to the Secretary of State's website. You can register inside of 5 minutes. You work with the county registrar's office, wherever your local county is, check out reg forms, right? Free of charge, postage paid, self-addressed. We work largely with a group with the, LA Free the Vote. We work with the Office of Diversion and Reentry. Those are groups that focus on those that have been just as involved and the families of those that have been just as involved. We do paper registrations all the time, so whatever support you need, we come out, we provide the materials, we provide the training, and then, we empower you and you get out there and do what you got to do. Next slide, please. Here's a little something you guys could share. Daisy has all these slides, so she could share this. This is something you guys can share on your social media, right? It's as easy as someone busts out their cell phone, scans that, and immediately takes you to the registration site. So these are the ways you reach out to people. These are the ways folks are doing it during this COVID era, right? I have people going to food banks where they're avoiding contact, but they have this QR code on a clipboard and they're just walking up to windows and people are scanning it with their phone and registering while they're waiting in line at the food bank and such. So got to be creative. There's still ways to reach the folks. Another way I talk about is social media. Our social media, again, you're getting it straight from the source. You follow our Twitter site is nothing but like information. Where do you go to find your election site? What are the key election dates? What elections are upcoming? Start making that plan to vote. It all starts with voter registration. So lavote.net, get registered. Again, Prop 17, 50,000 new voters out there. Let's get them registered. Let's get them voting. Next slide, please. After you get registered, you got to make that plan. You can go to lavote.net, check your registration status. You want to review your sample ballot. You want to make sure you get that vote by mail ballot. How you're going to turn your vote by mail. Hey, am I going to use the post office? I'm going to go to vote centers. How are we going to do that? Where are you going to get your information? I like to push a resource called Voters Edge. It's put out by the League of Women Voters. Completely nonpartisan information. They break down like when the marijuana initiative was out, it was 8 pages in the state pamphlet. They break it out to a solid, succinct, easy to digest paragraph, right? And we all know with like measures, a lot of them are confusing where, hey, if I vote yes, that actually means I'm overturning something. I want that no, So they break it down. If you vote yes, this will happen. If you vote no, this will happen. Great resource. It's free. They put it out in a number of languages. So that's Voters Edge, put out by the League of Women Voters. Great resource. I highly recommend that one. Next slide, please. Oh, and step 3, the final part is just getting out to vote. And like I said, LA County, we're all about options. You have your vote by mail that's getting sent to your house. You could drop that in the mailbox. You can give it to your mailman. You could drop that off at one of your drop boxes. You could wait till the election period. You can go in and drop it off in person. hey, you know what? You didn't register and you just remember this election day, or you find someone who's eligible and they didn't register, take them to a vote center. LA County, we now have same day conditional voter registration. So if you're eligible, you walk in, we'll register you and you'll cast a ballot on the spot. So there's no excuse. We're open on the weekends, we're open on weekdays, 10 to 7 p.m. No excuse. Let's get someone out there and voting. Next slide, please. Stay engaged. Like I said, follow our social media. There's my email address down there, guys. Give me a call. If you're from another county, you want to hear about the programs we've been doing inside LA County jails, you know, unlock the vote, stuff like that. We've been doing that since 2000. You know, let me know. We tell you what we're doing here, what models we've created. You know, if you're within LA County, you want to do more together, you want to set up a training, voter reg training, I could do something like that for you. If you want to set up Impact of Your Vote, where we talk to people and tell them, you know, how powerful your vote is at the local level, let's get together and do that. But, you know, let's just keep talking about it. Thank you. If there's time for questions, Daisy, I'm more than willing.
That was awesome. I was like trying to keep up with so much information.
I had so much I wanted to get out there for you guys, and I want to do it fast so we could have some time if people want to move on. But, you know, LA County Registrar's Office really is, you know, a model to the rest of the registrars in the nation. You know, I have people working with like Power California. You know, they have the youth movement up in Central California, and not all the registrars' offices are forthcoming with training and materials and stuff like that. So, you know, we really value you guys' work, and we want to support as much as we can.
Thank you so much, Phil. And just to reiterate what you mentioned, I will be sharing the slides out with folks in the recap meeting email that we are sending out. Phil, by any chance, do you have maybe 5 minutes to for any questions that folks may have?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, perfect.
We're on quarantine. I'm not going anywhere.
Awesome. Well, we have a question from our inside organizer, Lee. So Lee, if you could unmute yourself and ask your question, please go ahead.
Sure. Thank you to Philip, the voting registering ninja. You went through that very quickly. We really appreciate it, and we appreciate the information that you gave us. So I am on parole, and I was trying to register to vote, and I kept getting the kickback where it said that it has at the final signing part where if you're on parole or you've been convicted of a felony, you're not allowed to register to vote. Why is that still on the website, for one? And then does that still automatically get a kickback? I have gotten since then, I've done it 3 times. I have gotten a California voter registration receipt. And is that equivalent to enough to be able to go ahead and go to vote?
Yes, absolutely. So the getting kicked back, that's a case of where, you know, government takes time to catch up with the laws, right? And government, you see our website, you know, we're constantly trying to make that a better website, right? They're not the best with technology. So from what I've heard, that was a little thing of them reprogramming whatever they need to do on their end to make sure it was accepting that. You got your registration receipt, you should be good to go. If you're within LA County, you could always go to lavote.net and check your registration status. And it'll let you know right there, you are registered, you're an active registration, or, you know, if you hadn't voted in a long time, you may be inactive in our system. You know, you would find out right there on the spot. It'll let you know what party you're registered with, and it'll also let you know what the next upcoming election you're eligible to vote in. So you'll find all that information there. Yeah, and I always recommend that. That's great that you mentioned that, Lee. Always recommend that as a part of people's voting plan. Is first in, check if you're registered. Oh yeah, I registered years ago. People forget that if they moved, you know, people move on average every 2.5 years in LA County, I think it is. If you move, you got to re-register, you know. If you change your name, you got to re-register. If you change your political party, re-register, right? Coincidentally, right now, the largest political party in LA County continues to be the Democratic Party. But number 2, the Republicans are now number 3. They were overtaken by no party preference voters. No party preference voters and are what I call, at my age, I'm calling them our youth voters, are 18 to 29-year-olds. That demographic outnumbers every other demographic in Los Angeles County right now. The youth have more registered voters, and they have more eligible still to register and vote than any other demographic. Like I tell kids in high school, you're running LA County for the next 5 decades. All you guys got to do is register and vote. The power is there. It's up for grabs. The senior vote, yes, they turn out 88%. They turn out in numbers, but they got that small demographic, right? So spread that word, right? And I know some of our family and friends that are, you know, formerly just as involved fall within that age group, unfortunately. So spread the word.
Thanks, Phil. And we had a question in the chat. I know you can only answer pertaining to LA County, but as far as you're aware, does LA County or any other county, if you have any insight, have some sort of information packet regarding those who are coming back home from incarceration pertaining to like voting rights?
So I would look on our website, look for LA Free the Vote. We started working with a group called the County Board of Supervisors created a group within, was it, I think it's DPSS or DMH, but it's called the Office of Diversion Reentry. So we're now working with, and they're creating materials. So the Public Defender's Office is now mandated to offer voter registration and provide information to folks that work with their clients. We're working with probation. So when guys are getting out on probation, we're working with release at county jail facilities. So they're working on providing them with materials, providing them with phone numbers. LA Free the Vote runs a hotline where you can call them up and they'll walk you through the registration process and stuff like that. So definitely check those sites out. They're doing some great things.
Thank you. And I shared the link in the chat for folks who have access to the chat. And again, we will share out all of the information provided in a email recap. One question from one of our members who will now be able to vote as a result of Prop 17. Can no party preference votes vote in primary elections?
So yes and no. If it's a federal primary like we just had for president, they still have closed primaries. So it's up to the party. So the Democratic Party, if you were no party preference, but you wanted to vote for a Democratic candidate like Biden, they allowed crossover voting. The Democrat Party allowed it from no party preference. I think Green Party, and I can't remember the other party off the top of my head. The Republicans held a closed primary as they typically do, meaning you had to be registered as a Republican to vote in their primary. Now that's a federal primary. Now let's back up and talk about our state primaries, which happen more frequently and affect us directly. Years back, about 7 years ago, California moved to the top 2 open party primary system. So now in California, party preference does not matter. All candidates, regardless of party, are on the same ballot. All voters, regardless of party, vote on the same ballot. And the top 2 vote getters, even if they're from the same party, they'll move on to the next, to the general election. So top 2 open primary in California. The only time your party preference is going to matter is when you're voting in those federal elections.
Thank you. And we have time for one more question. I just saw that our policy manager, Greg, dropped a question in the chat. How many voters are disenfranchised because of the identical signature requirement? If you have any idea of what that may be.
You know what? Our numbers, because we go through such lengths to verify folks' signatures, again, having 3 people visually check each signature, our numbers are actually very low. So we could pull up those stats. If you're into that, I could have the IT department do a data dig, but I know post-election, that was something, the media was after. Obviously the lawyers, the party lawyers wanted to know that information. So I could find that out for you, but you'd be surprised at how small it is. Right off the bat, think about it. We don't write checks much anymore, but checks would be bouncing left and right if signature verification was that strict. We're not handwriting analysts, and the law states it has to be a reasonable similarity. When they bring up my registration, if I accidentally signed it the way I signed my work signature, they would still be able to get it because they'll have every signature I have since I started registering. They'll have all my signatures, and they'll see that my P is always the same. And that's what they're looking for. Like, hey, look, his P's all the same. And look, he still spells Verrera the same all the way through. Boom, that's the same. Even though you included his middle name, he did include it. Doesn't matter. It's a reasonable similarity. It goes on.
Awesome. Thank you. And then you had mentioned the Unlock the Vote program. I know I volunteered with the ACLU of California in the Orange County region for that. There were some people that were asking about that. Is there a link that we can share with folks to direct them to information on that program?
The one link everybody needs to know is lavote.net. lavote.net. You can get through all our partner organizations, everything through there. Follow our socials. Again, one thing I like to have orgs do too is follow our Twitter. When you see an informational tweet you like, because we have the great graphics design department and all that stuff, easy to digest messaging. Right click it, download it, throw your logo on there, and resend it out on your socials. Let's collaborate on that stuff. That's an easy lift for everybody to get the message out.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Philip. And I know there were other questions in the chat, so I'll gather them all and see if I can email them to you. And if you have time, if you could advise, that would be awesome. But I know Phil had also shared their email in the slides, which will be sent out to everyone in the post recap email. But just want to appreciate you so much for being here with us. A lot of folks are mentioning in the comments in the chat how valuable this information is. So thank you so much for being with us tonight, Philip. We
Yeah,
really
and LA County residents, people doing the work in LA County, definitely go to LAvote.net. We're updating our toolkit for engaging with those that were formerly justice involved. So that should be up within a week, the revised toolkit.
awesome. Thank you so much, Philip.
Right on. Take care, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Awesome. So with following up that presentation, wanted to just shout out some of the elections that are happening again. We have a link that we'll be dropping in the chat where you can access the list of county administered elections that are coming up and where you can reach those offices at. But just wanted to follow up with Phil's presentation, what's happening in LA County. As he mentioned, on March 2nd, they are going to be having a special primary election to elect a new senator representing District 30. And just to give folks an idea, because of the work that we do at Initiate Justice, and we want to make sure that we have the right people we can work with. And so just to give you a recap of what that position is, state senators represent and advocate for the needs of their district at the California State Capitol. So these folks are responsible for creating legislation that addresses issues within their district, as well as voting and debating on pre-existing laws. So the California State Senate has 40 congressional districts, and each represents of about 930,000 Californians. So these representatives are elected to the Senate for a 4-year term. And so if you are in LA County's Senate District 30, you will have the opportunity to vote for your representative in the Senate on March 2nd. There are also a couple of other elections that are happening on April 13th. Brennan City will be having an election. April 20th, Compton City on May 4th. If there is a need, there will be a runoff election for the Senate District 30 position. And there are a couple of other dates that we'll share out in the recap email for folks who are impacted. But again, just wanted to share that out. And if you are in an area where you will be having a local municipal election, those elections are generally happening for, if it's like a city council position, where they are responsible for establishing policies and passing local laws, and voting on budget appropriations, to be able to help develop an overall vision for the city. So just keep in mind that those are all of positions that you should be researching and making sure that you inform yourself on who you should be electing into office. And then the last thing I'll mention before I pass it off to Antoinette is Orange County, which is actually where I reside, is also having a special election on March 9th. And this is for the county supervisor position in the 2nd district. Board of Supervisors are folks who are basically make up the legislative and executive body of the county government. So the supervisors pass, just give me one second, I'm like looking at my screen. Okay, so they are in charge of passing ordinances that govern the entire county and are responsible for seeing that those that it functions that properly are discharged. So they set employee salaries, they make determinations in personal matters when there's no independent personal board or civil service. And the Board of Supervisors is also responsible for setting the budget and policy priorities of the county, and they can suggest changes to the recommended budget and ultimately adopt the final budget via a majority vote. They also oversee a variety of services to county residents, such as voter registration, health and welfare programs, court and law enforcement operations, and jail facilities, just to name a few. So if you live in Orange County in that district, please research as far as who is up for those positions. But I'll pass it off to Antoinette for one last round of shout outs for what's happening this year.
Thank you, Daisy. So for my Riverside County folks, I know there were some people out of the IE that dropped in the chat earlier. So for my Riverside County folks, there are a couple of there's about 3 special elections coming up. So I'll just highlight on March 2nd, Eastvale is having a special municipal measure election. So Eastvale is actually having an election on Measure A. So what Measure A is intending to do for Eastvale is increase their city's GAN limit, which is pretty much the limit of funding that they're able to use from various taxes collected for things like increasing police capacity, increasing some public service agencies and things of that nature. So if you are in the city of Eastville, that's a very important measure to vote on. Really taking the initiative to participate in what's happening to the funding. Do you think Eastville needs more funding for their police? Do their public safety agencies need more funding? Yes or no? So that is an election coming up for Eastville. Similarly, in the city of Cathedral City, in Cathedral City, they're also having a special municipal measure election. Theirs is for Measure B, which is addressing the ability to use some of their housing as temporary or short-term vacation housing, like Airbnbs and things of that nature. So if you're in the city, if you're in Cathedral City, then that's an election you might want to take part in, and that one's on March 2nd. In addition, on June 8th, the city of Riverside, so anybody who is in Riverside, the city of Riverside is having general elections for city council. There are actually 3 seats up for election in the city of Riverside. So what does that mean? So in the city, your mayor and your city council work together to make decisions that affect the day-to-day operations of the city. They make decisions and in regards to criminal justice and the safety in your community. They oversee city services like the police department. They also, depending on the city, the mayor, which works with the city council, can have either a weak or strong authority compared to the city council. So that just depends. In larger cities like Los Angeles, San Diego, San Francisco, Fresno, and Oakland, mayors have a lot of power to make the decisions. But in your smaller cities, your city council might have that decision-making power. So it's very important that you take your voice and use it in those smaller elections in voting for city council. So some of the things that mayors or city council can do is set goals for public safety and criminal justice reform. They can choose how your tax dollars are spent. They can create and fund community justice and public safety programs, and they can appoint important city leaders such as the police chief, and influence law enforcement policies and accountability. So by voting, you can use your vote to influence tax dollars and use those funds for addressing true public safety. And when you vote and choose a mayor or city council members, you want to vote for individuals who you believe will actually help your community. So again, if you are in the city of Riverside, there are 3 city council seats up. So make sure that you vote in those elections come June 8th. Make sure that you register in advance. I know for LA County, everyone's getting a mail-in ballot. I did read somewhere and do believe that that's not applicable to all counties. So make sure that you're registered to receive a mail-in ballot for these smaller elections, please. And again, there's a resource that we dropped earlier, and I'll add it again one more time. And it just basically is a link to the Secretary of State's website where they list all of those county run elections for you. So let me just, if I didn't already drop that in the chat, give me 1 second. Let me copy it and drop it in the chat one more time. So that is just an update on some of those smaller elections. We do have a call to action for you all tonight. So what we're asking is that you just tell your friends and family. Let your network, let your friends, let your family, let your community know what is going on. So we ask and challenge everyone to send a text message to 10 to 15 contacts, whether it's friends, whether it's family, whether it's just community members, and inform them of either a local election that's happening in your area and make sure that they're aware of it, or share out one of the messages that we developed here today, letting them know that people on parole have the right to vote and should be participating in our elections and should be using that voice and using that vote. So Daisy has dropped that in the chat. I also dropped the Secretary of State website in there as well that lists those upcoming county run elections. That may not be for all counties, but again, if there's not an election coming up in your county, just text 10 to 15 people or as many people as you can in your phone and let them know of the right to vote that has been restored for those impacted people who are coming home, maybe have just come home or maybe have been home for a while. And that's actually, that's our call to action for tonight. So next on our agenda is actually something really exciting, but first I just want to let a few, first I just want to give y'all a moment if y'all have any questions real quick regarding what we just shared. Any quick questions? No? No? All right, if you do, feel free to email either myself or Daisy. I am dropping my email in the chat once more, but I'm actually gonna pass the baton to our hype man, to our inside organizing coordinator, Lee, to take us to a really special part of our night, which is where we just highlight a very special person on our of our Initiate Justice membership. So Lee, I'm gonna pass it on to you.
Thanks, Antoinette. And I swear to goodness, you have really come into your own about owning this position over here and being able to be your own hype person. So thank you so much for bringing that in. And, you know, every month we honor a member of the month. And, you know, normally we talk about like how great they've been and what they've done. But, you know, I'm a little bit different. We have 72 participants here. I think we were up to like 95 or something. So to like 23, 25 people are going to miss out on honoring this special person. This person right here is from like day one, they tentatively stepped into their power. They tentatively came into who they were as a person, but we have watched them grow and be involved in every committee and being involved in every bit of what IJ is doing, which means that they're bringing people home and they're bringing the education and the word to the people that are on the inside. And so normally we sit there and we talk about these great things about them and then we announce their name, but I want to announce their name and then talk about the great things about this person. So if she will please step forward, Michelle Cardenas, please step forward and have your camera on. You are a member of the month. You have been like amazing from day one, and we're so happy to have you on the team. You have not only helped the IO committee bring the newspaper to new heights, but you've been able to express yourself in our IO committee member meetings, and you've been able to show how important it is to have your voice. And not only that, you're like a staunch advocate in your community. You help those around you. You're always there to offer some support or to offer any type of advice that you have or to be able to listen and to learn and to grow. We're so grateful for everything that you bring to this team, Michelle, and we're so grateful for all of the amount of work that you do. And I know that, you know, you've come behind, you know, your sister, and she's amazing in our right, but it is time not only for us to acknowledge you for stepping into your power, but stepping into who you are as a person. And you are somebody that is not only going to help us, help IJ, and help those that are inside and outside to be able to take this to new heights, but you're going to be able to help the people that are around you become better people also. So thank you so much, Michelle, and thank you for being our member of the month. It's long overdue, but you have waited long enough for us to go ahead and acknowledge the greatness that is in you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. I hate public speaking, but thank you all. Nothing inspires me more than all of you. And every day I fight and I feel the power that you all give. And it's inspiring to know that there's so many people out there fighting for people like my brother, and just know that I'm also fighting for your brothers and sisters and husbands and moms and dads, and we're all in this together, and I know we will get there. So thank you all.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Lee, for those amazing words. And you definitely described Michelle perfectly. I agree. We all agree. Michelle, we appreciate you so much and everything that you do and have taken the initiative to do for us, with us, and in this fight to end mass incarceration. And with that, I just want to, again, I want to thank everyone for being here tonight. I want to thank everyone for hanging with us for 2 hours on a Wednesday night in the middle of the week at the beginning of the month. We appreciate y'all and everything that you all do and for being here with us. Our next meeting is going to be the same time on the 3rd of March at 6:30 p.m. That is the first Wednesday of March. It is the first Wednesday of every month. You will find us here, catch us here. You don't want to miss us on the beginning of the month, because this is the party that we have every first Wednesday. So again, thank you all for being here. And Daisy will be dropping, if she hasn't already, the sign up sheet. If you heard about a committee that you're not yet involved in and you want to get involved in, please, please, please fill out the sign up form. That is to sign up for Initiate Justice. Make sure we have your contact information. This helps us as we continue to push campaigns, as we look to see where our supporters are, what areas you're in, if we need you to reach out to your legislator, if we need you to reach out to someone in your community or anything of that nature. All of this information helps us. And as we continue to develop our committees and our committees continue to work on the projects that are running for 2021, we need you all. So please sign up for whichever committee that you may have found compelling today. Or if it's your first time here tonight and you're interested in all the committees, just go ahead and sign up for all of them, and you'll get information from each committee so you can begin to join and be involved. So what I do ask is, if tonight was your first meeting, I know you heard a lot, we talked a lot, we said a lot, but if you stay with us for about another 15 minutes, we'll give you a rundown of what IJ is all about, if you haven't heard already, but we'll give you a rundown of what IJ is all about, what our membership structure looks like, how you can become an official member, and how you can stay involved and get further involved in this fight with us to end mass incarceration and bring our brothers, our sisters, our moms, dads, kids, grandparents, bring them home. So again, thank you. Daisy, if I missed anything, please by all means add it in, but thank you everyone for being with us tonight. Again, if it's your first meeting, go ahead and hang around. We'll have our new member orientation for just about 10 to 15 minutes to bring you up to speed with what Initiate Justice has going on.
Thank you. And just again, thank you for joining us this evening, everybody. We look forward to seeing you next month. And feel free to unmute yourself and say goodnight if you'd like to do that.
Good night. Great meeting, y'all.
Good night, everybody.
Good
See you
night.
next month.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye bye.
So nice to be with y'all.
Good night, everybody. Thank you guys for changing the vote for me. Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Good night. Everyone have a good night.
Yeah, everybody have a good night. Be safe. Mask up.
Thank you.
Good night. Congratulations, Michelle.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone. Congrats, Michelle.